Kalavalai atu, I'm Soraya Mangawa and welcome to BCN News. Leading our news tonight, New Zealand's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honourable Nanaia Mahuta, along with her senior delegation of officials, arrived on the island on Monday this week. Engaging kanohi kite kanohi and progress work on Pacific resilience and climate action is the key purpose of her visit. BCN News was able to capture her first official visit to the island this week. Here's more on this story. Foreign Minister Honourable Nanaia Mahuta with her delegation on Monday afternoon arrived on the island on the C-130 Hercules plane. The Foreign Minister was welcomed by Minister of Social Services Honourable Sauni Tautule at the Hannan International Airport. On Tuesday morning, Honourable Nanaia Mahuta exchanged greetings with the Premier, Honourable Dalton Tangilangi, followed by a special session of the Whanokepule Niue Legislative Assembly inside the Whalefono 2 chambers. Honourable Mahuta is the first Minister of the New Zealand Government and outside speaker to address the Assembly.
To deliver a few words here on the floor of the chamber within the Whalefono Ke Ua Ake is a great honour, and to be here with you to reinforce the special relationship that Niue and Aotearoa New Zealand have had, both past, present and moving forward into the future, is a real opportunity. Our ties are deep, they're long-standing, and they're founded on our shared whakapapa and connection. And within this connection, we also share a constitutional relationship dating back to 1901, but which changed significantly in 1974 when Niue moved to assume greater autonomy through self-government. It was such a status that was chosen by the people of Niue, and is a position that was respected by Aotearoa New Zealand then as it is today. It's also a constitutional connection that has evolved, and we continue to respect the ability of Niue to choose its own path through its own identity. When Niue assumed self-government, Aotearoa New Zealand gifted Niue its first Whalefono building, a cross-party commitment initiated by then Norm Kirk and concluded by the late Sir Robert Muldoon. We remain humbled that in return Niue gifted New Zealand the land of its High Commission, and we care for this land, trusted by Niue to do so. This legacy of support for our connection and for our democratic institutions has continued, again with cross-party support from Aotearoa New Zealand, so that we are here today able to celebrate this new Assembly building as a symbol of our enduring partnership. Mr. Speaker, as we look around the world, we see that democracy can be so fragile. Our shared commitment to the core principles that support good government builds the kind of democracy we know will be good for our children and our mokopuna. This includes support for common norms and values, the rules-based international order, transparency and accountability, peace and stability for our Pacific region. Last month, during his official visit to Aotearoa New Zealand, Premier Tagalagi and New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern agreed to refresh our statement of partnership. This commits our countries to cooperate on areas we each care deeply about: climate change, economic resilience, peace and security, and to the preservation and celebration of culture and language. I appreciate the economic efforts of Niue, of closed borders, and of the decline in tourism. This pain has been felt across the globe, certainly in New Zealand, and it will take some time for economies to recover. Economic resilience is of central importance across the Pacific, and it is a core element of the agreement reached by leaders at the recent Pacific Islands Forum, the 250 Strategy for the Blue Pacific Continent. As I have said before, together we share kaitiaki responsibilities for Te Moana Nui Ākiwa. This concept is enduring and intergenerational. What we do for our children today sets the course for our tamariki and mokopuna tomorrow. I acknowledge therefore Niue's commitment to the Niue Nuku Tuluea multiple use marine park as your pledge to conserve and sustainably use your ocean resources to protect them for future generations. Almost a year ago, I outlined the values and principles I wanted Aotearoa New Zealand to bring to its relationship in, of and with the Pacific. This was based on genuine partnerships and was to be a world view based on relationships, relationships, relationships. He aha te mea nui, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. It's our commitment to Niue that this values-based approach will be a marker of our conversations with you in the years ahead, and especially our milestone in 2024. And that's why I'm here today, just to demonstrate in person, as you did recently in Aotearoa, the value of our relationship. It's warm, it's close, it's enduring. And of our honest conversations based on our shared values and interests. And these are difficult times, so we need honest conversations. Mr. Speaker, Honourable Premier and members, this is an assembly building of which you can be proud of, I know we are, and it's an assembly building that epitomises our shared interest in building resilience. Our refreshed statement of partnership commits Aotearoa New Zealand to supporting the preservation of Niue's language and culture, and that is a commitment I feel so deeply. It takes one generation to lose your language and 2 generations to revive it. We need to ensure that language and culture thrives so that our children and our mokopuna know not only do they have a place to stand, but no matter where they are in the world, they represent all the values that reflect our countries, and we share that in common. Mr. Speaker and the Assembly, in 2 years, Niue will commemorate 50 years of self-government in free association with Aotearoa. 5 decades is an important constitutional milestone, and it will enable each of us as governments and people to reflect on our relationship, what it means for each of us, and how it has evolved. As we do here today, we'll take the opportunity to ensure that this milestone marks the depth of our friendship and our commitment to each other. He hono tangata e kore e mutu. Ka pā he taura waka e mutu. Connections between people cannot be severed, whereas those of a canoe rope can. Thank you again for this invitation to be here. Kitu kitu ea. Tēnā koutou. Nō reira kei ngauti kei ngā rahi I roto I te nākau mahaki me te nākau nui, ko te waiata hei kinaki I tēnei hui ngā tangata, kia taia atu ki te kāinga. He aha te mea nui o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. Tēnā tātou. Kia ora.
The Foreign Minister was also welcomed to the Tongan Museum. During the welcoming, the Minister of Social Services, Honourable Sauni Tongatule, was presented by Honourable Mahuta with the Tohi Tapu Wangahau Niuean Holy Bible and a photo album that belonged to the Laws family, who had lived on the island and served as missionaries to the people of Niue during the 19th century. A historical occasion and taonga that has been returned to the shores of Niue. The Foreign Minister was then able to tour the Tongan Museum, where she also saw firsthand the cultural gift that was given to Tongan by her great aunt in 2001.
My cousins who came with her in the Kapahaka group, they text me. They said, we came over in 2000.
Honourable Mahuta also visited Niue High School on Tuesday afternoon, where she opened the refurbished buildings of the school that have been upgraded by the New Zealand Defence Force contingent under Project Tropic Twilight in the past month.
A debt of gratitude to our New Zealand Defence Force and what they do to deepen the relationship that we have all across the Pacific, and it's been exemplified in the school war, the evolution block and the science block. Many hands make light work, and so with their efforts and the efforts that our team, our government are contributing to support your aspirations for yourselves, I think will only strengthen our own ongoing commitment and partnership to each other.
The Foreign Minister delivered a speech where she discussed new initiatives to support the preservation of Wangahau Niue and other Pacific languages and sharing of teaching and learning resources.
Moving our relationship to the next level in this context, in the educational context, means that the Niuean Language Commission and Te Taura Whiri Te Reo Māori, the Māori Language Commission, can commit themselves to take the next step. What does that next step look like? And that next step starts to look like how do we work together to learn from each other, to strengthen language pathways, to share resources, to be able to teach teachers how to grow the language from a village community whānau setting, but also how to impart much of that wisdom and the value of that approach so that our children and our mokopuna benefit.
Niue High School head boy Tongakilo Reese Tohovaka and head girl Giselle Mokuia also delivered speeches. The minister was also greeted with a special takalo performance by the Niue High School boys. Yesterday morning, the Foreign Minister had a short call with the Downers crew before heading to the Makini Hall in Alofi to meet with the Niue Council of Women. Honourable Mahuta was greeted with joyful singing and was given cultural Niuean gifts. She also delivered a speech where she spoke highly of women leadership, culture and language.
To our young people there, that education is so important. And I know that much of the effort and commitment that you contribute to is to make sure that our young people have a vision of themselves in the future and being proud in their identity and who they are as Niuean people. And then I shared with them, there's a saying that goes, you teach a man to fish and you'll feed him for a day. But give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. And then I adapted it. I said, give a woman a basket and she'll be able to carry the food for her family. But if you teach her how to weave, you'll be giving her the legacy and the traditions of her culture that she can pass down from generation to generation. And then I hear the kōrero today about what weaving means to you. Back home, one of the weaving crafts that we have is the traditional korowai, which is the cloak that you wear. And the most sacred part of the korowai is the first line. And for all of those who are expert in weaving of korowai, they'll say that your first line is your aho tapu. And if you don't get the first line right, the rest of the line may go crooked. So the state of mind that you're in to do the first line, your aho tapu, is the most important. And our senior weavers take great pride in the first line, and it could be the longest time committed to actually getting the weave right. And I think that tells a story about how we as women think about our role and function. Yes, as mothers, as grandmothers, aunties, carers and nurturers, but also what is inherently taught when we spend time passing on our skills and our knowledge, our stories, our songs, and our smiles, maybe with the right amount of sternness and the like.
If you have a look around, we have handcrafts on display. They are all made from local materials by all the wonderful women in our group. I believe that through our handcrafts and customary practice, we are able to tell our stories through such talents, and this is what makes us strong Polynesians. Upholding our traditional knowledge, sharing, passing it from one generation to next, as we have been taught by our mothers and grandmothers before us. We can't thank New Zealand government enough for all the assistance it has provided our nation for many years. This assistance has been filtered down to NGOs and community groups like us. We would not have been successful without this support, and we would be most grateful and very pleased to receive more support in the future. So on behalf of our President, Nongimoka Pomale, and the whole Niue Council Women's Group, I thank you for visiting us, for being here, and for making more history in our small hall as the first Maori female Foreign Affairs Minister to be here with us.
BCN News spoke with Honourable Mahuta, who shared her views on Niue and New Zealand's long-standing relationship.
Signing of the Statement of Partnership between the Premier of Niue and our Prime Minister signals that we're ready to take the relationship to another level. What that means is that we can work over the next 2 years, which will be a milestone year in our relationship, to figure out what are the most important areas that will signal that we're moving to the next level. I think about climate change, I think about what we can do in terms of language revitalisation, but there could be other things, so we're going to give ourselves time to develop that work program.
Foreign Minister Honourable Nanaia Mahuta says that Niue has performed well in the response to the COVID-19 outbreak.
Niue's done a really good job in responding to COVID, and it's been really challenging economically because borders have been closed, there's been no tourism. But what it's done is given Niue the opportunity to think about its next steps to build back economic resilience. So I'm confident that there'll be real opportunities in front of Niue.
When asked about any advice to share for women and youth engaging in political roles, she responded on the importance of growing young leaders.
I want to encourage women in Niue to continue to be the leaders that they already are and grow young leaders, because we know that the future of Niue rests on young people seeing a vision for themselves here in their own country, but also connecting with the world. So what that will mean is an opportunity for young leadership to come through and express itself at all layers in the community, obviously in politics and various areas of political leadership, but also in business leadership as well.
The Foreign Minister expressed her profound gratitude for the people of Niue in welcoming her to the island.
I feel really humbled about this visit and grateful for the hospitality that's been shown to me.
The Foreign Minister and her delegation departed the island to Tonga yesterday morning. There are no new cases of COVID-19 detected on the island. According to the latest update on the Niue COVID website, the one border case has been deemed recovered and released from isolation. There is only one active case of COVID-19 detected in the community, as the island remains on alert level yellow. Losana Sioneholo reports.
A total of 60 cases have been recorded since March this year, with 59 deemed recovered. Today was day 3 testing for the 144 passengers that arrived on Monday's flight this week, and the results have been released on the Niue COVID website at 6 p.m. this evening. Niue still remains on alert level yellow as local cases exit on the island with no community transmission. Health and government officials continue to encourage members of the public to stay well and help protect the community from the spread of COVID-19 by following the health and safety protocols under alert level yellow.
Japan's ambassador, His Excellency Ito Koichi, arrived on the island on Monday this week. This is the ambassador's first official visit to the island, along with his wife, Ito Misako, and his first secretary and head of general and political section, Takada Isami. Losana Sioneholo reports.
On Tuesday morning, Mr. Ichu Koichi greeted the Premier Honourable Dalton Tangelangi and Cabinet Ministers at Whalefonoua. Ito presented his letter of credentials to the Premier, marking his first official visit to the island. He also visited Niue High School to see firsthand an health clinic and new classroom supported through Japan's grant assistance for grassroots human security project. In acknowledgement of the new classroom, 2 coconut trees were planted. According to Deputy Principal Moira Jackson, the planting of the 2 coconut trees was part of the groundbreaking and launch of the whole site, as which the new classroom will be built.
And that is our news bulletin for tonight. Do join us again next Tuesday and Thursday for more of our local news. Until then, wishing you all a safe weekend. Stay safe and keep well. Kia munuina.